All right, it says I'm on live now. This third time. Three is a charm. Uh, So I'm now in here. Okay. So finally made it for the third time. And I'm thankful to be on here live. We always go through these challenges from time to time. Hey, there's Stoke Culture. Yeah. This is my second or third time coming up in here. It's always a challenge, and I'm laughing through the challenge. Anyway, I'm here, and today's topic is higher consciousness. That's the topic for today. The topic is higher consciousness, a bridge to enlightenment. And if I have enough time after being so long winded, I will give a meditation that will kind of help us uh, go through this and do well. First of all, let me find out how everyone is doing. And let me get myself also set here on Instagram fan page. Oh, how's the weather out there by you, Stoke Culture? Let's see. Here we go. So, what is my topic? So, how's the weather out where you're at? You're a part of the world. Are you in the U.S. of A? Are you abroad? Oh, 100. Yeah, we've had some hot days here. Last week we were playing around with 105. We had 105 degrees, I believe, a couple of days in a row. I'm out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we do get hot, but not like my nieces and nephews over there in where are they at? They're in Arizona, and they get heat for sure. So anyway, I'm going to talk about this a little bit, and if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make along the way, feel free to do so. If you want to let other people know this is going on, feel free to do that as well. One of the things, we often hear the phrases all the time: higher consciousness, spiritual enlightenment, or to become an enlightened being. And it's always good to let people know that we are always traveling toward higher consciousness, one way or the other. We're traveling toward it. We find ourselves trying to get there at a rapid pace. And sometimes we get there, and sometimes we don't. So, in the doing of living, we are always on the roller coaster ride of life itself. One moment we're up, another moment we're down. Another moment we're up, another moment we're down. And then we get into a groove where we seem to be elevating, elevating, and then flattening out at a higher plateau, doing all the things we would love to do and being able to either collaborate with other people or share the excitement of being on the path to higher consciousness, coming in touch with other people who are experiencing higher consciousness, awakenings, and so on and so forth. So I thought I would talk about this briefly today. Higher consciousness is a bridge to enlightenment. And sometimes we use higher consciousness and enlightenment literally in the same sentence. One, though, happens to be the result of. It's like a mathematical problem. We have in this title, we have consciousness, higher consciousness, bridge, enlightenment. So before I jump on that, let me say who I am. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the founder of the Circle of Grace One, established on July 2nd, 1974, and further seeded into society on July 2nd, 1999. I am affiliated with Resident Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am the meditation teacher that teaches every Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And often, once or twice a year, I do something called Remembrance, an afternoon or evening of remembrance with myself, Brother Francis, where I bring through information from the other side, from my ancestors mainly, for anyone who's in attendance. And of course, people get a chance to ask one question if we have enough time, and I answer their questions. I also participate in the monthly psychic fair for Resident Essentials done every Sunday out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. From right now, we have summer hours, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Resident Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics is located at 2703 Broadbent Parkway, Northeast, Suite J, here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Zip code 87107. So, there's this opportunity for us to reach up. There was plenty of R&B groups that used to talk about reaching for the sky, such as Earth, Wind, and Fire. If you remember Earth, Wind, and Fire, they had an album, if I'm not mistaken, it had a pyramid on it and two serpents or one serpent on it. Or one of the guys held a staff like he was someone from ancient Kemet with the serpentine energy on it. And they always talked about higher consciousness in that particular album. Well, we are always striving as a people, as a civilization, for higher consciousness. One civilization to the next. It's all about reaching for higher consciousness. It didn't matter where you were in the world, on the globe, you were reaching forward for higher consciousness. And so we see this opportunity in ourselves. This is why, we go to school, right? Yeah, it may have been mandatory for your parents to place you in school, but at some point you were striving to enliven or raise your consciousness. Yeah. Fantasy, the album. So here we are as a group of people stemming from a lineage of ancestors, some who couldn't experience education and others who could, or those who met quietly or secretively amongst themselves to educate, to read, to understand their language, to understand their culture, especially their spiritual, metaphysical culture around the world. And to this day, we are all striving for higher consciousness. So I thought I would, because I'm a spiritual counselor, been doing this for over 40 years, spiritual advice and so forth. I thought I would talk about higher consciousness. And I think in the past over 210, 211 podcasts, I have often talked about in different ways, whether it was grace or compassion, divine grace, your higher self, higher consciousness, enlightenment. I think I've done it several times. And so today was an opportunity to bring this topic back on the map for all of us. So, in this title, Higher Consciousness, A Bridge to Enlightenment, we must look at the word consciousness, higher consciousness, the word bridge, what is a bridge symbolically, and enlightenment. Now, I said it's sort of like mathematics, we're conscious of something. The meaning, or a slight definition for consciousness, is being aware of one's own existence and surroundings. So you wake up every day, you look around yourself. You're either in an apartment or a house, or you're living with family members, or you're living with friends. Hopefully, you're living better than you think, and you're living in this world. You're interacting with various people who are also has degrees of consciousness within themselves. And often we want to know, well, what are we discussing? What's so important about this thing called consciousness? And should we be talking about consciousness? What are we aware of? We keep hearing these different phrases, the woke culture, and then there's the awakening culture, and then there's the awakened culture. And so I would say that the majority of us on the planet actually are falling more into the awakening culture and the awakened. So, and you don't have to be, as I always say, you don't have to be a monk from a Shaolin monk or a Tibetan monk to be enlightened. You could be the everyday person who is enlightened on some level, which means you're aware of something far greater than yourself. So, higher consciousness is our deeper understanding of what is real. We see ourselves in this world. We know that there's some interconnectedness going on between all things, inanimate objects, man made objects, such as things found in the earth from eons, cultures ago. Many people have had those experiences where they're digging in their backyard, tilling the ground, and or getting a pipeline, something going on in their backyard, and dig deep enough into the surface, maybe a foot or so or more into the surface, and come across some ancient coins, colonialism coins, coins belonging to certain cultures, or they find some kind of other artifact in there. How many of you remember as a child in school where you did what they called a time bottle, right? Everybody had a time bottle, and you went somewhere and planted that time bottle, and it was your hope that someone would find it, 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, to see if we were catching up to your imagination of what you thought the world should be. There's a place out here in the state of New Mexico, here in, I think, Crest Hills is called. There is a thing out here, and it's called Tinkertown. And the gentleman that put it together, he saved all of these license plates that he's of different states that he had been throughout the United States. But he also saved a series of the state of New Mexico, what the license plates look like over maybe 30 years. He was a person that saved bottle caps. He saved maps. He had an old, I guess they call it a sloop. He had an old boat with sails, and he had some things, like a map. He had it like I think in a warehouse or in a garage. Hey there, Holly, how you doing? So this place called Tinkertown. There's a place in the Tinkertown that you walk through. It's like being in a big warehouse, and his family lived off the premises, lived on the premises in a house, but he used an old house and he turned that house into various things. Like you could see a train, like a Lionel train set. He had little figures in there working. He had the old fortune teller's box and stick a quarter in it and it spits out a fortune on a piece of paper. Okay, he had a lot of things going on. But one of the things he did, though, he had this little wall. And I don't remember if the wall was concrete or made up of rubbers, of like tires. But he had a bottle, many bottles in this thing. And I mean lots of bottles. Coca-Cola bottles, beer bottles, clear bottles, brown tone colored bottles. And these things were sitting in the wall. Now, if you were walking through the corridor, certain part of the corridor, you would only see the back of the bottle in the wall. You know, like the bottom. You notice there's paper rolled up in there. We're on the other side. Throughout this place, there was a pencil and a pad, and you could write something, and then you leave it in the bottle. This was sort of like similar to the wishing well. People throw coins in a fountain. People write a special saying on a paper and leave it. Now, I'm quite sure, since these bottles are like really screwed into this wall, sandwiched into this wall, they're not coming out anytime soon. Because in order to bring the bottle out, you got to like literally cut around the wall in order to get these bottles out. And I would say maybe I remember seeing maybe about 50 of these bottles. But the reason why I bring this up, I'm talking about consciousness. And when we think about consciousness, we think about what are we consciously aware of? Because that's one of the things, the definition of consciousness, being aware of one's own existence. That means we think about ourselves all the time. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? What should I be doing? What am I not doing? What am I looking for in life? Where do I want to be in the next 5, 10 years in life? This is what we always ask children. You know, what would you like to be grown when you're grown up? Where would you like to live? What would you like to do? And as time goes on, it's more like, what would you like to see in the world for a better place in the world? So, as children, you have an imagination. Teenagers, you have an imagination. Adults, you have an imagination. But sometimes down the line, you lose that special gift called an imagination, picturization, visualization. And we have to like go back to it. So, yes, consciousness is very important. We reflect on our consciousness all the time. Like, how did I get in this financial bind? How did I get in this situation where I thought I was going to be married long term to this one Pacific man or woman, and now there's a falling out, we're no longer together? We have children. We're fortunate. We have children between the both of us, and we're being parents to those children so the children don't have to fall into our mistakes. That's consciousness, being aware of yourself and your surroundings. If you're here on YouTube, click the like button if you like it. Okay. If you're still neutral or you don't like it, hey, give us honest opinion. Give us the thumbs down. I don't, it's important to get a mixture here. But here's one of the things that's good for us to realize. In our earlier stages of being awakened, that we are aware that we are in this physical form, walking around on this earth, and we're seeing through our own eyes life as it's unfolding in front of us. There's such a thing as higher consciousness. Now, what is higher consciousness? Higher consciousness is our deeper understanding of what is real, ourself, and how there is an interconnectedness of all things. That means how you are connecting to life, your environment. How do you connect with the insects in the world around you, the animals in the world around you? Most people have a dog or a cat, or some people have several dogs and several cats. Some people have lizards in their home. Some people have birds in their home. Then we have some inquisitive children. I was seeing something on YouTube the other day with this beautiful little child. She caught a squirrel and had him literally by the tail upside down. The squirrel was like frantic, like, Oh my God, she's still holding on to me. And her little sister was just looking at her holding on to the squirrel. And her parents are telling, baby, baby, let go of the squirrel, let go of the squirrel. And she's going, no, 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 I got him. He's mine. It was so funny because most children can be afraid of animals depending on how they grow up. These two children look like they grew up somewhat on a farm or a piece of property big enough where they were in touch with all kind of animals. There was another one that showed a little boy playing with a doe, and the doe knew the little boy was young, like a baby, because it wasn't hurting it. It was playing with it. It was letting the child pet it. I say this because we all are experiencing life over and over repetitively all the time. We all are. We're just unaware how we are having the experience, but we are. When we're talking about interconnectedness with all things, it's not just us and our the environment, the small surrounding of where we live in our community, but it also goes beyond that. Sometimes when we're striving for higher consciousness, we have our personal ego and we see everybody else's personal ego being expressed. But what else is actually going on? Well, deep down inside, there's a percolation happening. We're heating up on the inside. We're moving from a infinite mind process to a more infinite mind process, where we could liberate the mind from old teachings, old habits, old cultural things that are binding, that are just seem to be holding us back. And we're striving to free ourselves so we can be in a better place consciously. In other words, higher consciousness is about raising the consciousness from what you view personally in the world through your ego self into a world much bigger than yourself. And this is why, for the past 30, 40, 50 years, we can say 60 years, I would say 70 years, we've been fascinated with what is known. There's one of my spiritual daughters, Deepika, on here. One of the things we're reaching out for is understanding this galactic process, the interaction of ETs with the humanity. And we're always waiting for the government to release their files or release their information. Well, guess what? You don't have to wait on them. People are beginning to channel them for the past 30 years. Many people are having these enlightened experiences where they're channeling something outside of the physical realm, outside of the globe. And sometimes realizing that what they're channeling outside of the globe may be actually living inside the globe. I'll say that again. There are certain extraterrestrial entity beings living in the earth. And they've left some of themselves here in the form of insects. There are some people who, space astronauts said, we've experienced uh, the mantis beings, huge, through the bridges of their mind and heart. They've experienced them. There's no accident that people are experiencing Palladian activity on the earth, Arcturian activity on the earth, Lyrian activity on the earth, Syrian activity, not like Syrian in Asia Minor countries, the Middle East. I'm talking about planet Sirius. The Dogon tribe, the African tribe known as the Dogon tribe, had that experience with these beings. And many people have gone through abductions. And it was noted abductions in the 1950s with a interracial couple in upstate New York, just driving back. from a trip to Pennsylvania and spots a light over the head, and there's some time goes by. They don't remember it. So we're all reaching for higher some point, some layer of higher consciousness. We're all wanting to know what that is and how can we experience that. Hey David, how you doing? We're all seeking it. We're all wanting to know what is that? How is it really true that extraterrestrials can be in touch with us? I say yes. I've had my own experiences. I can't talk about it too much right now, but I've had it. And I've met other people out here that have had it. Many people who are gravitated to the state of New Mexico have had some experience with it. Roswell, New Mexico, way back in the, I think, what was it, 1940s or the 50s, had their experience of the different UFO pod ships landing here. And further south, and I think it's Socorro or Socorro, they had their, and all of these things happened around 1947. And these things, these energies are still percolating around here. People go up into the Sandia Mountains, which is a part of the Sandia Reservation, and have had experiences on those mountains. People go to other places. There's a community here called Placitas. It's an art community, big art community. A lot of the indigenous Native American jewelers and artists live there. Musicians live there. Jazz and folk musicians live there. Classical musicians live there. People having these experiences. Long Island, New York, where I grew up on, had its experiences as far as Lake Success, Bethpage, Farmingdale, Hempstead itself, as well as Montauk, way out there, the fishtails of Long Island, out there called Montauk. There are experiences there, and you can look these things up. You know, there are certain books that were written called the Montauk Project, the Philadelphia Experiment, how all those link together. Well, the reason why I mention some of these things is because we are often going through a situation where we're striving to know who we are. Are we just physical human people walking around on this globe? And we're not by ourselves. We can't be by ourselves. We know that there's something far greater than ourselves. And so a part of this striving for higher consciousness is this awakening where we begin to transcend, or we begin to look at our personal ego and go, I ain't the only one. I'm not the only one that has a striving and inner urge for higher consciousness. Well, one of the things when we're seeking this high, we know, see, when you're having experiences of higher consciousness, that's when you begin to reflect on the universe. That's when you find yourself go back into the mindset of a child and sit out on the porch or sit in your car and gaze up into the heavens at night. What is it that I'm looking at? I feel like something's calling me to look at it. I remember one time before I moved from New Jersey to here to New Mexico, I was with some friends at their home in what is it, Long Valley, New Jersey, but it was also the older side of what was called Hackettstown, New Jersey, and we were doing a circle meditation, standing outside during the summer. And one of the experiences that happened was, and we were unaware of it. We didn't know there was comets, COMETS. Well, this particular night, it was very, very warm outside. It must have been like 90 degrees with the humidity like 98. And we're out there doing this, you know, a couple of people were into Wicca, and I wasn't into it, but, you know, I could relate and connect. So we're all standing in a circle. We all had a candlelight that was lit that we were holding. And we were just holding space for each other. We were wishing each other the best that could happen for each other. And my wish was I have a safe trip coming up in November to come relocate here from New Jersey to Albuquerque, New Mexico. But while we were standing out there, we started smelling something thick, carbon like energy. Good thing is somebody running their car, truck, idling it. That wasn't it. We looked up, and in the direction traveling southwest in the sky was a comet. We could literally see it, not like a dot. To us, it looked like the size of a tennis ball. That's how close it was energetically to us. And it was traveling southwest. And everybody looked at me and says, "That's for you." And I said, "Yes, I hope so." Because it was an opportunity to witness a confirmation that I am going to the Southwest, which I now have been living in for 13 years. Come this November, I will be here 13 years, or maybe 14, because I came here in 2011. So yeah, it'll it'll be my 14th year come November 15th. I landed here by Amtrak, which is on my late dad's birthday. So here I was thinking, this is a confirmation, synchronicity. I'm heading to the southwest, and here's this comet going over our head. And you can see the trail of the energy behind it. And later, that next day on a Sunday, we heard about it in the news. Comet, flashing through could be seen by several states and specifically over the state of New Jersey heading southwest. And I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. It's confirmation. We're not alone. There are many beings, enlightened beings, walking around on this planet. But here's the factor: higher consciousness gives us an opportunity to transcend our personal ego, to put the me aside. Yeah, there used to be an R&B song, "Me, Myself, and I." Put the ego aside and realize you're connected to something much more advanced, much larger than you. And what you begin to realize, things like mindfulness meditation, which means is to place 100% on your body, what you feel that's happening on your body, inside your body, what's happening in your environment, to straight, flat out meditation, whether it's guided meditation, where someone guides you through, that helps you see what you need to see, or is sound meditation coming from tuning forks and crystal bowls? Or could it be that you are prepared to sit in meditation quietly and experience silent meditation? You can use affirmations to help yourself become more centered. You can use decrees, you can use prayers, you can use gongs, you can use tuning forks, crystal bowls. You can vocalize, just not speaking the affirmation or decree. You could actually sing it if you so choose. They call it, enchanting the universe with your voice. The most important thing about this is to maintain absolute focus on your center of being, which is through your heart center. And when you're able to do that, you're able to open up greater channels within yourself, where you feel more energy flowing through the meridians in your body. You feel more energy flowing beneath the skin on the top of the muscle. There's a membrane there called the fascia, and you begin to experience the chi flowing through there. In the beginning, your body gets warm, it gets hot, it gets cool, it gets tingly, you start itching. You're experiencing the chi, the ki, the pranic energy in your body, spirit in your body. These things are important because while you're busy working on yourself, you are in essence liberating your mind from the chains of negative thinking, whether they're your own or in most cases placed upon you by other people. Other people try to get us to drink the Kool-Aid, get us to think like them so that you can't think for yourself. No, you got to think for yourself. You don't understand yet just how powerful that you are, that no matter what the obstacles are that are encroaching your space, you can call it off. You can cause something to come into effect for you that uh, destabilizes that kind of energy, that blocks that kind of energy, that melts that kind of energy away from you so you're not subject to that energy. That's one of the great things about it. You don't have to be subject to negativity. We're fighting it, but it's not our boss. It's not the boss of us. So, how do we overcome that? Well, as you're reaching for higher consciousness, you might fast a few times out of the week or out of a month. You might change the way you eat. You might listen to more sacred music that you are connected to. You might begin to play music that you feel comfortable with. Compose your own, and then you listen to your own music. You might write poetry or prose or fiction or non fictional books, but you're going to create something that's going to free your mind, free up your thoughts, free up your feelings, because that's highly important. We're working on our freedom all the time. And then as you do that, you begin to attract like minded people to you. People who may be experiencing the same thing, or people who are already beginning to break free and elevate themselves. And then you find those people around you. And those people are very positive thinkers, positive doers, positive feelers. They're not around trying to block you, they're trying to boost you up. Just like if you were a child and you were trying to climb on your brother's hand or lap or your sister's hand or lap to try to take a peek to see what's going on. We all have this ability. We just don't realize how much we actually have. We all are born with this innate ability to create wellness and healing for ourselves, prosperity and abundance for ourselves, and find a better us underneath the disguise of what is called the shadow self. The side shadow self is what we've been hiding for so many years. It could be our anger. It could be some kind of addiction issue that we have. But sooner or later, we overcome and we accomplish. We get better than the old us, and we start stepping out and becoming the newer us. So we become aware that we don't have to become self centered, that we can plug into something far greater. That's why people talk about grounding. That's why people talk about hugging a tree. In fact, you don't have to hug the tree. You can put your back up against the tree, and the tree takes all that negative charge out of your body and gives you that oxygenated air out of its leaves, boosting up your energy. So, what else is happening for us? There's a bridge, BRIDGE. Symbolically, well, when we see a bridge, physically, right? You can go through countrysides. A bridge is connecting two pieces of land, going over a pond or a lake. People going over a small pond, people can walk over it if it's sturdy enough. It's a lake, they can walk over it, but more than likely, if it's wide enough and it's sturdy metal and wood, whatever they need, they can drive across it. Then you got big bridges. Bridge out there with San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. Look how expansive that is. There's other bridges around the world that are even more expansive than that, taking you to all kinds of places. But why am I talking about a bridge? What are some of the more important bridges? Well, there's a bridge, as in a way or a means of being able to connect with others. A prime example is what we are saying. I'm talking to you. That's a bridge. Verbally saying it out loud creating this bridge between myself and you that's in the audience. And what is that bridge doing? That bridge is bringing us together because, on some level, I'm not going to just say in total agreement with what I'm saying, but you know that something that I'm saying might be triggering you that will cause you to do your own levels of research about higher consciousness and how you may realize there's something far greater than yourself, far greater than us. If there's a trillion people on the planet, three times three, 9 trillion people, beings, animals, birds, fish, you name it, everything far greater in consciousness with a higher consciousness than ourselves, pulling us up the ladder, giving us an opportunity to reach forward, to become better, a better citizen, a better man, a better woman, a better child, reminding us that we need to communicate with nature often. We need to sit outside in nature and meditate. Or if you're indoors, you don't have to have on music and sound too much. Just sit in silence and see where that silence can take you. Because over time, that silence can get you to go deeper inside here and here, the heart center, deeper into your body, where you begin to do what? You begin to have an epiphany, or many of them. You begin to have recollection of past lives where you may have lived all over the globe and beyond, where you begin to realize, hey, I'm not being self centered anymore. I'm not egotistical anymore. I can actually allow myself to free my mind from negative thinking, doubt, illusions. You don't have to speak against yourself anymore, even if in a joking manner. Why? Because the cellular memory inside of you hears all, hears everything that you are speaking unto it with. See, our words are just not words, they're sounds. And in the sound is encased energy, which is emotions, our feelings. The late Reverend Ike used to say, even if you're not feeling well and you know you're coming down with a cold, he said, do not keep repeating yourself, oh, I don't feel well. Even if you don't feel well, don't proclaim it, don't decree it, because then you're telling the universe to give you more moments of that. He always used to say to yourself, I am healthy. I am prosperous. I am wealthy. I am knowledgeable. I am brilliant. I am intelligent. And I know it. I know who I am. And when you're able to say that with enough conviction within yourself, what then happens? You notice you begin to think differently. You don't worry so much like you used to. You don't worry about finances so much. You don't worry about your health. All you know is if I say something that is positive and I begin to believe inside myself with the utmost faith when I speak it, I shall become. I shall become whatever I say that I am. Whoever I say that I am, I'm going to be just like what I spoke into the ethers. And sooner or later, I'm going to make it materialize. You know, many of those athletes we see that are running the Olympics, do you know they actually sit down and envision themselves winning? Envisioning themselves in steep competition and coming out on top. Perfect example. The young lady that won in this last Olympics, was it in Spain or France? Her first name was Alfred, I believe. Yes, the word is vibration. And she was able to see herself win an Olympic gold medal for her country. First time country ever won any kind of gold medal. She brought it home. There was Shakari Richardson, who way back in the previous Olympics wasn't doing so well, but then came back in this most recent one and got herself some gold, anchoring the women's 4x4, 100 meter or 400 meter in one. These are people that work hard, but they work this. They don't work so hard. They envision. They begin to see themselves running across the finish line ahead of everybody else. They see themselves winning, not losing, winning. There are people who can convince themselves, even with the very little that they have, that they will have something more that's healing for them, that brings wholesomeness to them, that lifts their spirit. We find ourselves going through the ups and downs, like I said earlier. We find ourselves going through the ups and downs in life all the time. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed. How many have felt overwhelmed? I'll put my hand up for it. Lots of times. How many times you feel so nervous you're supposed to give a lecture or talk in front of a group and you're nervous? Usually that nervous energy is your fuel that can kick you forward to a great performance, a great speech, great lecture where you're handling everything. You're no longer worried about anything because you can say, I got this. You got it under control. So, what can be bridges? We've seen it all the time. I remember one time, I said this, I think, a few weeks ago. I said, I remember when rap music came out. And I was with some friends, and they said, that ain't going to amount to nothing. See that young man stand on that vehicle? He ain't going to amount to nothing. And now we see that young man, he's a millionaire. Rockabella is his business. That's LL Cool J. Saw him in Queens, Hollis, making a video. We begin to see these things, and we see that culture of rap culture extend itself all the way around the world. Children in Africa, children in Japan, children in Taiwan, children in India, children in the Philippines, copying rap artists, the tones of their voice, copying breakdancing. Huh? Been all around the world, 80, 90 years, all around the world. Can you imagine something that you are doing that's going to be felt all the way around the world? As you strive for higher consciousness, your lineage of ancestors behind you get pulled on board into higher realms of consciousness for themselves, and they are in other realms of existence. They can feel you move toward higher consciousness, and they too are being motivated, and they're moving toward higher consciousness. There's so many bridges from dance to music and art that have a universal appeal, leaves a universal message on the minds of many. Universal appeal, a universal seed that allows people to feel a blessing embedded in the work. And when someone else watches it, someone else absorbs it, then they go like, finally, I'm receiving what? An open door. I'm receiving keys that I find on the bridge, leading you where? To enlightenment. You look at the word enlightenment. What do you see? The suffix ment means mental, the mind. En prefix has to do with in being a part of something, integral part of something. And what? Light. When you're striving for enlightenment, as well as higher consciousness and enlightenment go hand in hand, it is something that's literally becomes a lifetime. It's a lifetime where you're striving to be better. And you're going to find something that brings healing to your lineage of family members, to your ancestors. So, enlightenment is when we experience being able to liberate the mind from old thoughts that have stagnated us, experiencing real, infinite spiritual truths that brings us into the expression of our divinity, like the condition of being a divine person and the divinity of all life. Meditation is a key instrument that helps us unlock doors to our higher connections. So, higher consciousness is all about the interconnectedness that we have with all things in our environment and beyond it. And when you get into that constant striving for enlightenment, to be spiritually and metaphysically enlightened, when you know that you're there and you're receiving the best of the best, that you're understanding things, that you're getting compassionate about a better life, you're being enthusiastic, striving for higher things, higher degrees of understanding, then what is happening? What is happening is you are free. You realize, okay, you know how we can see ourselves being free? Yes, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like either going on in the world. But which is best for me to focus on? That which isn't going well for me, or that which can be going well for me? Can I focus on what's going well for you and get excited that you're having a breakthrough? Because if I know that you're having a breakthrough, I'm next in line to have a breakthrough. And if you see me having a breakthrough, you're next in line for your breakthrough. This is why they say cheer everybody on. Reverend Ike said you can only meet yourself. You're angry, you're going to see an angry person reflecting your energy back to you. If you're happy, you're going to see that person reflecting their energy back to you. You're just going to see so much of yourself in the world that you can't help but change yourself. Higher consciousness is definitely a bridge to enlightenment because one day we all shall be enlightened. One day we all shall realize that we have this opportunity to become more enlightened. There's 11 people saying that are on here. 11 is dreams and visions and secrets. Well, there's no more secrets. There can only be dreams and visions. And then it says there's 7 likes on here, and 7 is spirituality. What is spiritual? What is perfect? Not perfection. What is perfect? I'll say that again. Not perfection. We're not striving to be the most perfect meditator in the world. We're not striving to be the most proliferating writing person in the world. You're just striving to be what? In the present moment, where you become the conduit, the pathway, the bridge, the door, the gateway, the keys to this bigger spectrum of things, where you can truly say to yourself, I'm not alone. I know there are other people out here. So I don't have to live like this on a low rung. I can live a little higher, at least in my consciousness, live higher because I'm striving for what? To experience a higher consciousness so I can have what? More of an opportunity to experience enlightenment. That's why the late Ram Dass, formerly known as Richard Alpert, professor of Yale University, said, be here now. 3 words. Be here now. Actively be here now. Be conscious that you're right here in this moment right now. In other words, you're in the right place at the right time, receiving the right information for you, who is the right person to receive it. Now, once you know that, you can then execute it if you thoroughly understand it for yourself. Hopefully, something that I have said in this live podcast will trigger you to reach out, reach upward, and to attain a higher standard of living for yourself spiritually and metaphysically speaking, that will reawaken the higher consciousness that is already there. For you to realize your enlightenment is in the process and you're on the path going back and forth to enlightenment. You're creating a revved up energy where energy, like a string, gets taut enough where you pluck it as a note and you're on it and you're singing it. You're offering a prayer into the universe. So before I sign off, what I'm going to do is say this to you. I want to thank the people, the Pika Perhorat Ford, who is on here, and Nadi Edja, Nadi Edja, if I pronounce it right. If I pronounce it wrong, please excuse me. And Rose Jefferson, and Holly Hemet, and Stoke Culture, and David, and who else I know is back in there? Indigo Moon is in there. Hey, hope you got something out of this. But before I leave, I want to share a meditation with you. Today's topic, July 10th, 2025, was about higher consciousness, a bridge to enlightenment. I want you to view yourself as being conscious already, conscious of who you are right now, conscious of your environment, and conscious of the thought, the imagination that you're taking this internal vibration called your light, which is infinite, containing all of your truths and then some. And that as this vibration gets stronger in yourself, we're going to clap our hands together 3 times and we're going to rub them. And we're going to clap them 2 more times and rub them. We're going to clap them 1 more time and rub them. And get that chi, get that blood up to the surface of your skin. Then put your palms up. Close your eyes, and I just want you to feel the presence of energy building up that's truly your consciousness, but that is turning over into higher consciousness. That you are consciously aware right now that there's something or some things far greater than yourself that create healing and wholeness and wellness for yourself, that brings you more friends into your life and brings you the right people into your life and puts you in the right places at the right time to experience the right wisdom and guidance and truth for yourself, that is totally infinite for you. And know that as you take these palms up and reach them toward, point them toward the ceiling, right? And then fingers toward the ceiling, and then move the hands back and forth a little bit. Bring it down so that your head is kind of between it, and you're moving this energy back and forth energetically through your head, vibrating it, shaking the hands a little bit, and then stopping, not flicking off anything. You're actually tuning it up higher for yourself. And I want you just to envision that as you raise your arms upward and the fingers toward the ceiling to some extent, that what is happening is that you're directing the energy and you're calling forth for the energy that is in your home, around your home, in your neighborhood, around your state, beyond the country. The galactic energy, the spiritual energy, the universal energy is all coming to you. And you start to bring the hands down and turn the palms toward you a little bit. And take the time and feel the energy. Radiation, it's like the sun itself. In fact, the sun outside is a replica on some level of the big sun. So I want you to use your heart as a bridge. And I want you to remember that you can link up with higher sources of information, higher sources that are infinite, that will assist you in any way, in any direction you want to go in your life right now. You're bringing these hands down and you're pointing them toward you. And I want you to bring them together, clasp them together, rest them upon your lap, but rest them so that the palms are facing toward you. And as things are facing toward you, I want you to feel this degree of you being more of an enlightened being. You'll have a personal ego, but your personal ego is being absorbed by your higher self, which is who you truly are. You are this enlightened being known as your higher self that is not only knowing and seeing what it sees right now, but it sees even more infinite things. And as you begin to breathe into the nose, you can feel the coolness of enlightenment enter through your breath. So you're inhaling infinite realms, infinite degrees, infinite layers of enlightenment, pure enlightenment that you feel is with you and in you and around you, and you're absorbing that back into your body, back into your head, back into your throat, your heart, your kidneys, your stomach, your liver, your spleen, your gallbladder, your large intestines, your small intestines, your eyes, your ears, everything. And you're just rocking with the energy. You're just riding with the energy. And you feel a great sense of oneness. You feel highly motivated. And you know that you are already free in the mind, free in the body, free in the heart. You're already being who you're supposed to be, but learning to live your being at a higher level of consciousness so that you're away from the personal ego and opening up the doors to your higher self. That's who you are. Remind yourself, I am living as my higher self right now. I am living as my higher self right now. I'm living as my higher self right now. And you know this to be true. And you know this to be true. And you know this to be true. You're living in a state of absolute unity and oneness. No more separations. You are totally overflowing with divine light of divine grace. And divine grace encircles you every moment of the day. Divine grace permeates your breath, your breathing every moment of the day. You see with the glorious eyes of the infinite one, the higher self, the reflection of your divine self on earth. And you feel total oneness with that. You're at peace. And you're so much at peace that your heart slows down and your blood pressure is perhaps coming down. The heartbeat is slowing down. No heart palpitations. But you're feeling totally at peace. You're feeling more of that internal peace with yourself, which means if you are having internal peace, your external side is frequently vibrating peace into your environment. And you feel good about yourself because you're receiving light and you're flowing with light and you're becoming more light. You can't help but be more light. This is Clear Blue Radiance. Today is Thursday, July 10th, 2025. You can go to Resident Essentials. Go to www.youtube.com/ the at symbol Resonant, Resonant Essentials, ESSENTIALS, with the number 4314, and find this video where I'm streaming it live. Susie Pug, thank you for joining me, and also Z-Man 4063 over here at Instagram. Remember, higher consciousness, higher consciousness, it's a bridge to enlightenment. And you have the ability to achieve it literally at will. Remember, consciousness is being aware of one's own existence and surroundings. In that realm of consciousness is your personal ego. Higher consciousness is our deeper understanding of what is real, our self, and how there is interconnectedness of all things. That means we are in our environment, we're connected to our environment and everything in our environment. We transcend our personal ego and we step into a greater sense of unity with a higher power, the universe itself. And we're no longer being self centered. We're being more mindful and we're using meditation to help us experience this on a greater level. We are the bridge between this physical world, 3D world, and the fourth dimensional consciousness, but as well as the fifth dimensional consciousness. I know sometimes people say, well, if you're in the fifth dimension, you should be able to think and speak things into existence. We've been doing it. We're just unaware that we are doing it. I'll say that again. We are maybe not totally yet fifth dimensional, but we are speaking what we are seeing and we're looking at it materialize in a relatively short period of time. So I would say we're teetering and tottering right on like a tightrope, walking between third through the fourth into the fifth dimensional, fifth realm of consciousness. We are having this opportunity to achieve at a higher state of understanding who we are. That's what's happening. So if you're out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, get in touch. Or if you're not, go to www.resonantessentials.com. Go to www.resonantessentials.com and find out what's going on every week. Hey, Indigo Moon, love them hearts. Find out what we're doing every day during the week, what's going on, who's teaching, who's giving for spiritual counseling, who's helping other people. If you're ever out here, look us up on the second Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. our summer hours for our psychic fair. It's free admission. You just pay for whatever the readers and healers are charging. I'll be there this this Sunday, as well as Saturday. On Saturday, I'm the resident meditation teacher. I teach my Creative Path Work meditation series at 2703 Broadbent Parkway, Northeast, Suite J, right behind the region where Carrington Nursing School is at. We're behind them. And I have this opportunity to share these teachings of meditation, my own guided meditation. Teach 5 different rays. We're still working on the white light meditation, and we're also working on the heart chakra, the pink ray meditation, and the blue ray, which is taking us into the great central sun. So, If you want to join me, please. Hello there, Etoile de Mer. I hope I said it right. This is this opportunity we get these teachings. Now, the last two Thursdays, I had to pre-record today's Clear Blue Radiance. This is about maybe 210 I've done within a 4-year stretch for Resident Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics out here in Albuquerque, uh, New Mexico. I have my own website. I have my own YouTube channel, which is at Circle of Grace One, the number one at the end. That's me on YouTube. I have a website, www.circleofgrace with the number one right after the letter E in grace .us. Circle of Grace One.us. That's my website. You can see the tons of things that I'm doing. And some people say I got too much on there, but I got it like that so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. I'm also a teacher on various levels. You see, I got two books behind me. The Key to Life is Numerology. I'll be teaching that course again starting in February of 2026. I usually teach it twice a year. I have this book here, Radiant Heart, came out last year. And Radiant Heart, I taught last year during the summer months, and I taught it earlier this year, and I'm teaching it again. I'm in the middle of teaching someone a private class. I also have an 8-week online course. It didn't get off the ground yet. That online course was called Clear Blue Radiance is the Light Within. It was 8 weeks. So if no one happens to sign up, it's supposed to kick off on Wednesday nights, July the 2nd. However, if it doesn't, if I don't have any students that sign up, I will present it as, I think right now, 4 workshops. And of course, you have to pay for these workshops. So there'll be 2 lessons each within the workshop, or it might be 6. Because the first one has got a lot of information in there for sure. Anyway, it's going to teach you how to recognize who you are, where you're headed in life right now. Woo! Thank you, Rose. Glad to see you on here. Um, Tonight I happen to be doing what I normally do on the first Thursdays. I have something called first Thursday evenings, and usually for people who are my students, longtime students, within this past year or two, you get it at a discount. People brand new get it for $97, and I talk for about 2 hours of Pacific topic matter. So I'm doing one tonight because I didn't do it last Thursday. Also, the first Sunday, I have what is called First Sunday Afternoons, where I use one of my specialized creative path work guided meditations and take you on a journey, and then we plant seeds into the universe for peace, harmony, and happiness. So, if you want more information, email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. If you go to my website, circlegrace1.us, circleofgrace1.us, if you look up the link bars that are in purple, you can find Resident Essentials right there and click on it, and it takes you to the Resident Essentials website with its calendar, and it shows you what's going on. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me. Looking forward to doing this at another time next week, usually 1 or 1:15 or 1:30 p.m., whichever way spirit leads me to do it. Hope you have a nice weekend. Who is on here? I know this guy. Yes, I do. Bukhari. I knew Bukhari when he was a youngster, about this tall. He's big now, big business guy. Bukhari, how you doing? Uh, I'm going to sign off of my on this YouTube channel first, and talk a little bit, answer any questions that people on Instagram might have. Everybody that's on YouTube, have a rest of your afternoon wherever you are in the United States. Again, if you have any questions, email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. I didn't know that this today was the guru something other. Topeka knows what it is. What did she say back here? Oh, Topeka left. Did Topeka leave? No, Topeka's still on. It's all about. It's the Teachers' Day in India. The day for gurus and teachers. That's what today is. Um, and I want to thank Topeka is one of my longtime students and spiritual daughters from New Jersey, now living out in California. So, everybody, I'm going to sign off first on YouTube. And if all of you on YouTube have any questions, you know how to reach me on Facebook and YouTube. You can leave a question here. I'm part of a channeling group as well, High Vibe Channeling. And I'm due to channel on next, not this Sunday, but I believe the third or fourth Sunday, July 20th. Yeah, July 20th, I'll be channeling. I got some interesting guides with me. So if you want to know about that, go to High Vibe Channeling group on Facebook, as well as Way Showers TV. Their number is at 7722. I believe that's the number. 77. Yeah, Way Showers TV 7722. That's their number. And you can go in there and you can see some of the past channelings that a lot of people have done, as well as two that I've done. So, anyway, I'm going to sign off. I'm getting a little tired. I don't want to out talk my throat because tonight I have to teach a little bit in a few more hours. So, I want to say goodbye to everybody. Take good care of yourselves. Be at peace over here on YouTube. And see y'all next week. We sign out of YouTube first. Bye. Love you guys. Appreciate who you are. Remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. All right, everybody. Now